A reading from the book of Revelations. One of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls full of the 7 last plagues came and said to me, "Come, I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb." And in the Spirit he carried me away to a great high mountain and showed me the holy city Jerusalem coming down out of heaven from God. It was the glory of God and a radiance like a very rare jewel, like jasper, clear as crystal. It has a great high wall with 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and on the gates are inscribed the names of the 12 tribes of the Israelites. On the east there are 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them there are 12 names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The responsorial psalm. Your friends tell the glory of your kinship, Lord. Your friends tell the glory of your kinship, Lord. All your work shall give thanks to you, O Lord, and all your faithful shall bless you. They shall speak of the glory of your kingdom and tell of your power. Your friends tell the glory of your kinship, Lord. To make known to all people your mighty deeds and the glorious splendor of your kingdom. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and your dominion endures throughout all generations. Your friends tell the glory of your kinship, Lord. The Lord is just in all his ways and kind in all his doings. The Lord is near to all who call on him, to all who call on him in truth. Your friends tell the glory of your kinship, Lord. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. After Jesus had called Philip to be a disciple, Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him about whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus, son of Joseph from Nazareth." Nathanael said to him, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Philip said to him, "Come and see." When Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him, he said of him, "Here is truly an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." Nathanael asked him, "Where did you get to know me?" Jesus answered, "I saw you under the fig tree before Philip called you." Nathanael replied, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God, you are the King of Israel." Jesus answered, "Do you believe that because I told you that I saw you under the fig tree? You will see greater things than these." And Jesus said to Nathanael, "Very truly I tell you, you will see heaven opened and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Today is the Feast of Saint Bartholomew, and it is one of those saints that are not so popular. We know that so many people even bear the name of Saint Peter, Saint Paul, Saint John, but Bartholomew is not one of those that will be very much revered and that will be used as patron saints. And the truth is that we also don't know too much about him. There is even some kind of I will not call it confusion, but still some kind of mystery in the Gospel. Meanwhile, St. Matthew, St. Mark, St. Luke count the Apostle Bartholomew among the Apostles. He is not mentioned by the name Bartholomew in the Gospel of St. John. St. John consistently uses the name Nathanael, which obviously was second name or nickname, so it is not clear how they came to, how he had to be known under these 2 names. And the rest of the story coincides, so it must be the same man. But it speaks about that mystery, that being unknown or being not very clearly known. But actually, when we think about it, even St. Peter, or at least the same story, that he was known as Simon, and then the Lord gave him the name Peter, and it is used so many times together, Simon Peter, and so it is not totally unknown or totally strange. And what we know about him, really very little. We hear that he's from Cana of Galilee. That's one thing. And we also know, so we read here, that it was St. Apostle Philip that brought him to Jesus. And after Jesus had called Philip to be a disciple, Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him about whom Moses and the law and all the prophets wrote, Jesus, son of Joseph from Nazareth." And so it was, again, a story like the story of St. Peter. St. Peter was not called directly by the Lord, and it was St. Andrew who came to his brother Peter and said, "We have found the Messiah, come and see." So it is again the story that links him in some way, at least logically, links him to St. Peter. And yes, he went there, and he was, of course, first full of curiosity, but he became one of the followers of the Lord, and he not only was called to be an apostle, but he was also one of those who went to the world. And we don't know some details. It is common belief that he went to Armenia, and he died as a martyr. There are some traditions speaking that he was just stripped of his skin, and it was the way that they inflicted the martyrdom on him. But although we don't know too many details or too many things about him, we hear one word that is really the word of salvation, and it is that the Lord says, "Here is truly an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." A man of honesty, and that's one good thing, that the Lord Himself acknowledged it, and in some way making this kind of judgment, especially by the Lord who knew the hearts and soul of everyone. So it speaks about the holiness of Saint Bartholomew, and it makes us understand that yes, he was not only friend of the Lord, but he was saved, and he ended with the Lord in heaven. But then we can learn here that story of Saint Philip, although he's mentioned here just lightly. It is one of the examples that challenges us to seek the Lord for ourselves, and also to bring the others to the Lord, to be a sign of the Lord's presence in the world. And being a sign, it is not enough to say come to the church or go to the church or do something. We have to lead them with our own existence and our own presence. And I can say that in my 45 years of priesthood, I have seen really an unbelievable development. There was time when there was really a lot of total rejection and drift away from faith. Now we come to the point when there is again really felt a terrible hunger of God. And they just want to, so many people want to see some sign of God's presence. And those calls for some signs that yes, the Lord is with us, where is the Lord and how to find Him. Those calls really appear from so many unexpected places. It happened to me just this afternoon. I needed some small thing from Canadian Tire. And I went to the store, I bought it, and I went to the cash register, and the cashier just looked at me and then said, "Are you a priest?" And I said, "Yes." And she thought that I was some kind of minister. generally only the priests are visibly identified in the public. And she was saying, and you realize how the people behave differently and right away better when you are around. And I said, oh yes, I know about it, and I've seen it so many times. I know that even the girls from the high school stop swearing and when they see my Roman collar. And I see so many who realize that yes, in front of the priest I cannot do this or I cannot do something else. And she was saying, that's good that you go like this. It really reminds us of something. I don't know whether she was Catholic or maybe yes, and maybe not. I don't know. It was in the line of the cash register, and there were people behind me. So it was just in that quick transaction of that happens in the store. But just that acknowledgement that, do you realize that the people behave differently when you are around? Why? They are from the same bones and flesh like anybody else. And it is that Roman collar that makes a difference, that reminds me and others about God, and that in some way gives us some inspiration for good, some hope, and yes, we need more of it to realize that yes, that now it is also up to me to do something and to be serious with this God that I am discovering. That's one thing, that being visible sign of God, and it is a call that all of us have, and that the world now is really begging for. And being a sign of the presence of God, it is actually one of the great calls of the Second Vatican Council. And it is really unbelievable what the devil was able to do with the Second Vatican Council, at least for some time. He cannot win forever, but for some time. But we have seen that in the name of the Second Vatican Council, the priests dropped their priestly robes, and the nuns have dropped their religious garb, and we don't see the church practically visibly anywhere. And still the council was calling for that visible and bold presence in the world, and we have to be the light of the world, and we have to guide or be inspiration, and the constitution of the church. There are two of them. One is called Lumen Gentium, the light of the nations, and the other Gaudium et Spes, joy and hope. And we have to be signs of this, signs of the light of Christ, signs of the hope, signs of the joy. And of course, you have to be identified. That if someone goes without a bottle and screaming in the night of the street on the street, he may seem joyful, but everybody knows that it is not exactly that message from God. And if we show that real light, real joy, real hope that comes from the Lord, that does not disturb, that rather inspires the people, that's what the council was calling us for. And the council was called because there was already a lot of troubles, and one of the troubles was that the church was just going back and practically hiding. And after this call to be again boldly present in the world, we see that so many have done exactly the opposite. But we have to instead of looking around and making some conclusions about others, we have to take it for ourselves. The world is hungry for God, and He wants to see the signs of His presence. The world wants to hear His words, and wants to hear them in a good, in positive way. And this again, that story of the gospel today. We hear about St. Philip that brought Nathanael to Jesus. And we hear that after Jesus has called Philip to be a disciple, Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him about whom Moses and Lord had written." So it was that sharing the joy, sharing the faith. And Nathanael came. If we let our fantasy working, probably St. Philip spoke about this great big find even to others. And we can safely assume that yes, he was speaking to several people. Several of them, or some of them, have said, "Oh yeah, okay, but I'm busy now." And this Nathanael came to Jesus and became an apostle. And it is the second case. I was already mentioning St. Andrew, St. Peter. And when we think about it, that bringing someone to Jesus, we never know what we are doing. St. Andrew definitely did not know that he's bringing us the Pope. And not only one Pope, but all that chain of popes, and all that story, that glorious story of the Vicar of Christ and of Peter in the church. St. Andrew could not know it. But yes, he said, "Come and see." That was all he has done. So we should also do the same. Come and see. How we do it, it is a strange thing that we are simply too cold, or I don't know how to call it. When I was in Toronto, I had a family. They were from Peru. They had 4 children, and they were struggling there. The lady was a nurse, and he said, "No, you have to study. You know that in Peru you don't have the education, and no, you have to have the Canadian education." And it is not true that discrimination always exists. And so she studied and finished the nursing school, but then she could not find a job anyway. Then it was again, "You have some Canadian experience," and so on. So finally, the husband, he was also doing some job that was not worthy. She found some work somewhere in Arizona and somewhere in southern United States. And I remained in contact with them. They were really great people. They were always in the church. And after some time, they were saying, "Father, it is so difficult to be Catholic. You know that there are Protestants of all kinds. There are Baptists, Methodists, whatever. And every Sunday they always come with us to our church. We have a good church, and they have always everything. There's a good choir, good coffee, and whatever. Come with us. You must come to our church, and you must come to our church." And I said, "Do you ever invite them to the Catholic church?" Because there was a Catholic church. I said, "Do you ever invite them to the Catholic church?" "Ah, no, they always push us or force us to go to their churches." Why can't we go and say, "Come to our church"? It is the Catholic Church. It was here before any other of these groups, and it was the church that saved the truth until now. And we have to realize that, yes, doing what St. Andrew did with his brother Peter, or Simon, what St. Philip did with Nathanael, yes, we have to go and say, "Come and see, come and see. I have good faith, I have a good church. Come and see." And so we have to build first that love for the church and for the kingdom of God. And then with pride to say also, come and see, and bring those who want to listen. I don't say that everybody wants to listen, but there are definitely those who want to hear this message, want to have that invitation, and will come. And it is the Lord is sending us for. To be the signs of His presence, signs of the hope, signs of His presence in the world. And this bringing them, bringing others, we never know what we can do. How many converts came to the church just by chance or by some kind of strange invitation, and out of boredom sometimes, and then they realize, and they started to learn something more about the faith, and even the priest or some priests started that way, just invited by someone else to the place they did not know, and they never thought that they would could go there, and yes, they were invited, and they took full advantage of it, and became great Christians. We don't know what we can do, and even for our time, yes, there are those Peters and Nathanaels that are waiting out there just for our invitation and for our testimony of faith that brings them in and shows them that yes, my faith is a great faith. It is a good faith even for you.